Shalom. First, I'd like to start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honor to teachers, elders, and apostles of great millstone, likewise, brothers, put on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep unto you, brothers and sisters. Tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson is titled, Escape the Hallucinations of Babylon, America, with this truth. Let's take a look at the word hallucination. And this is the AI overview. And it means hallucinations are sensory perceptions that occur without an external stimulus, making them seem real but not actually being so. They can involve any of the senses, including sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And this is what Esau has many people in an hallucination state. Okay? Make believe that some way, somehow, they're going to bring America back to its former glory, but those days are long gone. Now, in this lesson, I'm going to bring out 2 or 3 short little clips, and as always, examples of things that are pertaining to what's actually taking place, and also the headlines, that we see going on today and how they're connected to the scriptures, and this is, always an attempt to let Jakes them see, visually, what's really taking place, the prophecies as written in the scriptures are coming to pass. Okay, this is the book of Jeremiah 51, down verse 6. It reads, Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, and he will render unto her a recompense. So the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, is going to judge great Babylon, America, for all of the iniquities, wickedness that it has performed on this earth, mainly towards the children of Israel, so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos, who are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's Yahweh Shemashai's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken off of wine, therefore the nations are mad. So these nations have been hallucinating, on the things that great Babylon America has fed to them. This is why when you go across the earth, you have skyscrapers, you have people dressing just like the Americans do. They're taking drugs, smoking cigarettes. The ways of great Babylon America, the culture has spread all across this earth, and in not a good way. So you're seeing that these nations now remove themselves from their original way and has followed the ways of great Babylon America. So they're mad because things is not going quite the way it should have, because if great Babylon America is being impacted by the judgments that the Lord Yahweh Shemashai is bringing upon it, then so will these other nations, and they're looking to this whore for help. Continuing, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take bound for her pain. If so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, let us go everyone into his own country, for a judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Okay, so the Lord Yahweh Shemashai has a judgment on this place, and you can see it in real time. Now let's take a look at this video, because if you've been watching the news, you know that there's a report going on, or basically Trump, is denying that the job performance, is not as low as they're putting out there. Take a look at this.
Overnight, President Trump pledging to announce a new head for the Bureau of Labor Statistics after he fired Commissioner Erica McIntarfer on Friday, claiming without evidence that the latest jobs numbers were manipulated to make him look bad.
We had no confidence. The numbers were ridiculous.
But he has yet to provide any concrete evidence of that. The president's top economic advisors adamant Trump isn't shooting the messenger in the wake of the poor jobs report. But they say he does want his own appointee in place.
The president wants his own people there so that when we see the numbers, they're more transparent and more reliable.
The nonpartisan Bureau of Labor Statistics compiles economic data that has been used by economists, investors, and academics for more than a century. The now fired McIntyre was appointed by President Biden, confirmed by the Senate in January 2024 with overwhelmingly bipartisan support. Even then, Senator J.D. Vance voted for her. The commissioner only sees the jobs numbers a few days before they're released, and revisions to the numbers often happen once more data is available.
This is a preposterous charge. These numbers are put together by teams of literally hundreds of people following detailed procedures that are in manuals. There's no conceivable way that the head of the BLS could have manipulated this number.
William Beach, who was appointed by Trump to serve as BLS commissioner during his first term, sounding the alarm, saying the firing sets a dangerous precedent.
Suppose that they get a new commissioner, and this person, male or female, are just the best people possible, right? And they do a bad number. Well, everybody's going to think, well, it's not as bad as it probably really is, because they're going to suspect political influence.
Democrats decrying the move.
It's classic Donald Trump. When he gets the news he doesn't like, he shoots the messenger.
And at least one Republican is raising concerns.
If the president is firing the statistician because he doesn't like the numbers, but they are accurate, then that's a problem.
And as you saw in that clip, okay, there's a lot of confusion. It's hallucination, okay? You know, you can see the division that's taking place here in Great Babylon, America, because, you know, for as far as I can remember, this was something that comes out every month, okay, the job report, okay? And it determines, you know, or it's kind of like a forecast of how the economy is doing. And now you have them questioning it, saying that, you know, you have the world's brightest statisticians getting it all wrong. And this is the man that's sitting in the wicked seat, okay? Keep in mind here that Donald Trump's job, okay, we have identified him as Nero. His job isn't to bring back, you know, mirth and job, you know, and have people, you know, feeling good about themselves with job security. His job is this. This is Isaiah 19. In Psalms 14, it reads, "The Lord Yahweh Shemashai mingle a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggered in his moment." So your leaders are operating, okay, incoherently, okay, making decisions that doesn't really impact the people in a positive way. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. We seen, you know, earlier this year what took place with Doge, you know, with Elon Musk, and you know, if you dig deep enough, you know, in the Google search, you will see that these companies are laying off people by the thousands weekly, and it's really making headlines out there. So if you have companies laying off people by the thousands, are their jobs really being created, when the end thing right now, or the pursuit of these corporations, is to go after AI? They're not looking to bring in people that they can have to invest, you know, millions of dollars in training, and these people just really are not up to speed for what is required to be a competitive employer. Okay, this is Malachi 1 and 4, and we understand, you know, what MAGA is all about. MAGA is all about basically Esau rebuilding, okay, America back to its former glory. But keep in mind that this has always been the pursuit of Esau, is to make themselves great, okay? This is Malachi 1 and 4 reads, "Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desert places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemashai, they should build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh Shemashai had indignation for forever." So it doesn't matter if they have the best plan out there, it's not going to work, and their tongue is falling on themselves. They're exposing each other as liars. Trump is saying, y'all are liars, and they're saying, you've got to be kidding. We have the best mathematician in the world compiling this data. Hundreds of people are compiling this data. They've been doing it for decades. They're accurate. There is no jobs, okay? That's a performance right there. This has nothing to do with Trump. It's the Lord Yahweh Shemashai bringing this place down, okay, as written in these scriptures. Okay, so some people out there, they're hallucinating, believing that, well, it's not going to impact them. They're going to somehow find a solution to this before it impacts them. So people kind of walking on that edge. Others are just like happy and glee. Jake as usual. Especially Jakes that have always had that handout spirit. Me, poor me, help me, white man. Okay, they're still, hoping, for lightning to strike in a bottle.
That's $50. This last 50 I put towards the application fee. And I have basically wasted $200 towards applications. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. Baby, I got 3 kids, don't get no help, no support, nothing. My baby daddy on child support, no help, do shit. You hear me? But, and everybody keep asking me like, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? Because you gotta laugh to keep from crying.
Man, I'm praying, God, I know you hear me. I know you see me. I know you see my hard trials that I'm dealing with, Lord. I know you see that I'll get up every single day when life feels like it's taking me away. And I put my best foot forward. I do what I have to do. But God, please hear me and hear me with good intention when I say this. What is next? What's next? Everybody's like, oh, he's testing you. He's testing you. Okay. Bitch, I done failed this midterm about 50 times already, so can we go to the next part? I'm just so sorry. And it's like, yeah, I might be at someone else's house, but who's to know how long this is gonna last? Like, all of our stuff is in the storage. I can't even get my soap, toothbrush, toys for my son to play with. Like, nothing. And he just laughs it off. Every time he just laughs it off. Oh, y'all don't need that right now. And don't use lights and water. And before he left, he's like, respect my house. You don't have to tell me these things. I already know that you're doing me a favor, so I'm going to do that. And it's just like before we got here at his house yesterday, he let me know, all you got to do is cook clean and have sex occasionally. I've been friends with you over 15 years, best friends with you. I've never had sex with you. Why would I do that now?
Okay, this is Isaiah 19, down verse 3 reads. Salaki, let's go to verse 2. It says, let's go to verse 1 actually. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh shall ride upon his swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. They shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Let's pause there for a second, because here's what really Trump, the cruel Lord, is focusing on.
There will be no more sanctuary cities?
No way.
Okay.
No way. No more sanctuary cities. I wouldn't even say 4 years. I'd say give it to the end of the year. Sanctuary cities are over. There are no more sanctuary cities as far as the federal government's concerned. What a sanctuary city means is they are harboring criminals. They are harboring illegal aliens. And if you're tipping someone off when there is going to be an ICE raid, DHS raid, we will find you and we will prosecute you. That jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. Not going to happen anymore. It's a new day, and we're coming after you.
Okay, take a look at this, and this is the latest list of sanctuary cities. They're focusing on going after Jake, and Jake isn't seeing that. Okay, Jake is seeing something else. They're confused. They're hearing about possible job creation, things getting back to the way it used to be. We can get the same food that we used to get. All these senses that they have of experiences of the past is still manifesting with them, so they're not able to grasp the gravity of what's taking place. It says, and the spirit of the Egyptians shall fall in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. They're going to try to go back and do what work well. Try to retrace their steps. This is what we did when it was like this, when it was like this and like that. Well, at that time, the Lord Yahweh had not wakened the man of the Lord to go now in the Bible to bring out the prophecies, okay, and condemn Great Babylon America to destruction. Okay, so of course, it had those things that they implemented. It worked at that time. However, this time it's not going to work. It says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hands of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them," said the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemashai. Look at it, man. Okay? They're focusing on war. They're focusing on threatening these other nations. They're focusing on coming after the children of Israel. They're not focusing on rebuilding jobs and security and all those things, because there's a prophecy that has to take place here concerning the mark of the beast, which leading up to that, you would have to have a complete collapse of the economy of the United States, which is going to be a domino effect of all economies of the earth, because the MOTB, or the mark of the beast, is going to be something that's going to be implemented. It's a judgment from the Lord Yahweh Shai that's going to be implemented on the entire earth. It doesn't matter what country it is. So there's going to be chaos everywhere. Okay, so all these countries that are hallucinating that America is going to find a solution to their problems, that's exactly what it is. A solution, a hallucination. But, us prophets, we are letting you Hebrew Israelites know, okay, this is supposed to happen, and this is not a bad thing. This, in fact, is a great thing. Okay, and actually, when you go into Matthew 12 and 25, you see the Mashiach, okay, when they had, accused him of being a devil and all that stuff, and a sorcerer and a witch, okay, he basically let them know, look, he says, "And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Every city or house divided against itself shall not stand," which the only people who are going to really stand firm, in these time of trouble is going to be, the hopefully elect. Okay, you're not going to be trying to kill each other and walking around in this false hope and blaming everybody around you. This man, the cruel Lord, is blaming, okay, his mathematicians and people, and he fired the person who was the secretary of job or something like that. Fired that woman. Okay, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Okay, so the true experience that we're having right now is that people are upset. They're sad.
Well, clashes break out as city crews and police try to clear out a large homeless encampment in Van Nuys.
Yeah, this is an area near the 405 freeway. It's been called a danger to the surrounding community. Erin Myers joining us live from Van Nuys. She's got reaction to all of this. Erin?
Hi, you two. We're told that this encampment has been here for years, causing concern for residents and local business owners. Now, they have been cleaning all day long, and things have been calm this afternoon, but it was a different story this morning when there were tense moments. Homelessness advocates and those staying at a large encampment in Van Nuys clashed with law enforcement early this morning as city crews prepared to clear it out. Officials using bolt cutters to get through fencing surrounding it.
They started cutting the gates and, showing force. And when you show force, you're going to get the same thing back.
Mayor Karen Bass walked through the site saying it was too dangerous for anyone to stay at.
These are inhumane conditions. And I just have to tell you, I've been to refugee camps around the world. In conflict situations, I haven't seen anything like this.
Various issues have arisen at the encampment, including fires like this one last November, leading to complaints from the public.
They're taking lithium-ion batteries and they're using them in there. They're taking propane and butane and using it for camping and cooking.
What can they bring and how long will they be able to stay?
Motel stays, meals, and case management were offered under Mayor Bass's Inside Safe program, though some here say they are worried about what's ahead.
I'm scared because I don't know what we're going to do. I know we're going to get possible housing, but that can always they can snatch that away from us. It's not always guaranteed.
And that going inside can be a tough decision to make.
I lost a lot of, things that I can't take.
Homelessness has dropped by 4% this year in Los Angeles County, but 72,000 people are still affected.
Okay, they're upset. Okay, they're not having that mirth spirit that they had before. In fact, let's go into Isaiah 24 and 11. Verse 11 says there's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is dark and the mirth of the land is gone. In the city is left desolation, the gate is smitten with destruction, and that's all people can see right now. 1 minute you're in a house, the next minute you're on the street. 1 minute you're in an apartment, the next minute you're on the street. Okay, 1 minute you have a job, the next minute you're out there standing up on the line for 5 hours waiting to get, a bowl of shitty soup. Okay, and this is where millions upon millions have seen this. The 6 o'clock news or the 5 o'clock news or the mainstream news is not going to show this. Okay, why would they show the misery of the populace? Okay, especially if the face of the people who are in misery, are the people that they hate the most, which is the so-called blacks and Americans and Latinos. They're persecuting the help, the people who have cleaned the shit, picked the food, done all the menial labor to keep everybody else feeling like they're superior or feel like they have some type of life. They're persecuting. So the whole tribe of Israel is now being persecuted one way or the other, physically and mentally and emotionally. So this is why we tell you, get the hell out of this place, okay? Mentally, okay? Okay, when you go to Jeremiah 2:14, it reads, is Israel his servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Why are you putting all your trust into this place, man? Don't put your trust into this place, okay? It's divided. Okay, there's no need to be hallucinating anymore, Jake. You don't have to hallucinate anymore. Prior to coming to this truth, I was hallucinating. Okay, I was hallucinating. And pretty much all the brothers can probably say the same thing too. We were all hallucinating. Even though we knew about the history of getting hung from trees and the sort of racism, after we came out of slavery, all those things like that, we were hallucinating. Okay, we were hallucinating because we thought that was the past, and they're gonna treat us better right now. You get that little smile from the Edomite, you feel good about yourself, like wow, they like me. But it's an hallucination, Jake. It's an hallucination. Once you understand this truth, you're not gonna hallucinate anymore. Let's close over the book of Micah 2:10, because this is what makes us, what keeps us going. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with sore destruction." If you try to relive your life, you're gonna get sad. Seriously, you're gonna get really, really, really sad. If you're in this truth right now and you go to call or contact the people that you knew out there in the world, you would probably start to get very depressed. They're pathetic. Okay, they're pathetic. They're so pathetic. They will make you depressed because they're in that hallucination. They can't see what's really in front of them. Okay, I'll quote what Rock used to say when he used to be in WWE. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, okay, you gotta smell what's going on, man. Okay, and they don't see it because they're blinded. Okay, so Lord willing, the neck was edified as growth by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Shalom.